It's waiting for me. Those are some. Oh my gosh, Ethan, that was brutal, man. It was very harsh.
I was more focused on like the separation between C and O and R and E. Like to get around.
Why are we railing on Marco now? He was just trying to be funny. I didn't even know he did that.
Good though, like considering that like put it around something.
That's a good point. All right, here we go.
I'm terrible.
Here we go.
Today in forensics we were talking about all of Marco's experiences about how he got stuck in the door in prison. How did he get stuck in the door?
Oh, you have no idea. We're not going to have time to talk about this now. But at some point in time, there are probably, I'd say, 20 different stories you could tell about Marco in London. But like at the end of the day, Marco is a better human being for going to London and for us having to go through all of that. And by us, I mean usually me, because I became his babysitter. Oh gosh. You know, he did, which is like great. Like when I say there are 20 different stories, that's not tantamount to like he was awful, it was awful. Like they're great stories because they're funny because now he's alive and here, and we can joke about it. At the time, whew, it was stressful. That's okay. All right, so let's do this. Everyone, if you would, please turn your page to it's me. Turn your book to page 29. The Maniac, please. Tomorrow, what I would love to do is, so please remember tomorrow, this is for you too, Hannah, the joy response is due. And I don't think the due time is until like 11:59. That's because that stuff, I'll grade over the weekend, I'm not worried about it. But just keep that in mind. Don't spend your Friday night doing this, okay? Just so you don't get a late deduction. But at the same time, tomorrow I would love to go through the second poem. So bring your joy book tomorrow. Tomorrow will be mostly a work day, as you'll see kind of what the rest of today will be like. So, but I want to take like 10 minutes to work through that because I think that the blurriness of joy and the precision of pain is one of my favorite poems in there. Yeah, it is. It's remarkable. There are a couple poems in there that I have printed out and like are hanging up in my car and like in my room and on my like bathroom vanity, so that like I always read them and they're always at the front of my mind. But that one we'll talk about tomorrow. Okay. But so let's do this. This is the last thing that I want to talk about regarding the Maniac. So yesterday we talked about conspiracy theories and kind of worked through how the Maniac is, how one of the logical ends of the Maniac's perspective, or his like, I wouldn't even say his worldview, but I would say just his thought process, the framework by which he engages in the world, though that is pretty much defining worldview, is one where one of the logical ends of that is to develop conspiracy theories. There is a cause in everything. The man does not just swipe at the grass with a stick. He's calling someone. The man does not just whistle. He's getting someone's attention, right? Carelessness or doing things without an intended meaning are an impossibility for the maniac. So like freedom, flippancy, not in a negative sense of like being flippant, but just like doing things because you want to do them, right? Like snapping your fingers. Like I love snapping my fingers. Whistling, right? Same stuff. It all has a deep intention. So when we talk about conspiracy theories, the idea behind that is that there are conspiracy theories because grown men do not go into a preschool and kill 21 students and 5 teachers. One, because that's too evil for me to handle and I cannot explain it. It does not fit into my worldview. Number 2, there's definitely a reason behind that, and it's that, you know, those kids weren't real, it was all about gun control, so on and so forth. Again, note that this doesn't fit with every conspiracy theory, but I think ones that are beyond, like, even our imagination, like to be able to think through, like, man, there's someone that would actually go in and, like, kill kids. That leaves us thinking, if that's possible, anything is possible, and that's not a world I want to live in. That's the maniac's thought process, right? Has to have an understanding and reason for everything. That leads us into this quote. So, page 29, the bottom of that top paragraph. It starts with, the Christian admits that the universe is manifold and even miscellaneous. Meaning that, like, it just exists. Like, things happen because the world has an order, but sometimes it gets out of whack. Just as a sane man knows that he is complex. The sane man knows that he has a touch of the beast, a touch of the devil, a touch of the saint, a touch of the citizen. What does this sound like? In worldview, we tend to be talking about it. Sorry, Aiden. Yeah. The sane man knows that he is simultaneously wretched and valuable. He's deeply flawed, but also has this greatness within him. That's a really interesting connection. I didn't think about that until just now reading that. Nay, the really sane man knows that he has a touch of the madman. But the materialist's world is quite simple and solid. Just as the madman is quite sure he is sane, the materialist is sure that history has been simply and solely a chain of causation. Everything happens for a reason, right? And not in the, like, Christian, oh, your dog has cancer and died. Well, everything happens for a reason. Not that. That also is garbage too, but that's a whole other thing. Just as the interesting person before mentioned is quite sure that he is simply and solely a chicken. I don't even know what that means. Materialist, this is the main point. This is like my big and key definition of who the madman, of what the madman believes in his or her perspective. Materialists and madmen never have doubts. The problem with this from the Christian worldview is one where doubt becomes synonymous with faith. Because if faith is taking things without concrete evidence, doubt naturally creeps in. Not the type of doubt that, like, produces cynicism and destroys faith, but the type of doubt that, like, produces a growth in faith because we ask questions because we don't know why things happen. Doubt is a good thing. If you don't doubt, chances are you have a perspective like this guy or girl. If you do doubt, chances are your faith is either is healthy or on its way to being healthy. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And also, I'm not trying to romanticize doubt like it's cool to not believe. I'm just trying to say that this is a reality of our life, of our faith, our lived-in, like, faith experience. Yeah.
So, kind of what you're saying is that, like, with our faith, we're going to doubt at some point, and there's doubt within it. And if you never doubt, then that means you're not, like, engaging in it enough, and, like, growing in it enough, and, like, studying it enough, so that you don't come to the point of, like, why it's just the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, think about the times of, like, growth that you've had. Where do those come from? Maybe it's from having people, like, who are older than you, wiser than you, which is what my experience has been, give you, like, information and give you insight into something. But most of the time it comes from people challenging what I already believe and then being convinced, both because it comes from an authority, but because it aligns that like authoritative thing, whatever that person says, right? A mentor, discipleship leader, youth group leader, pastor, whatever, says actually aligns with my experience better than what I believed before. But it's not just as easy as saying, oh yeah, I believe that. Okay, great, yeah. Because that's silly too. Like, you don't want to just freely accept things. Even Richard Dawkins, the guy who we just read who talked about abortion, says, I want everyone to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. Which, like, he uses that to, like, argue against Christianity, which is hysterical, because, like, that's what I would argue as proof of Christianity, as, like, a great perspective to have in Christianity. So, doubt is the thing I would argue, this would be my thesis. Doubt is the main motivator for growth in Christianity. Because if we don't ask questions, from a place of like desiring to grow, because obviously it's clear that we can ask questions from a place of cynicism. But when we ask questions, we grow because we learn more than we had before, and we find that either we have new experiences, new encounters, things that we engage with anew, or what we know actually aligns with our experience a lot better. So yeah, I would say that doubt is good. But again, not trying to romanticize it by any stretch of the imagination. Christian Wyman has this really great quote where he says, sometimes God calls us to unbelief in order that faith might take new forms. Sometimes God calls us to doubting, which sounds weird, so that our faith might take new forms, so that it might be different tomorrow than it was yesterday, in a positive way. Okay, so that's like the last thing that I want to talk about with the madman. With the exception of next Tuesday, be talking about the cure for the madman. But if you guys have read the chapter, then you already know this, because that's going to be one of the parts of your project that I want to talk about next. Anything else? Any last comments, concerns, anything? Are we all in agreement? Yeah, Amelia.
I was just saying that, it's not necessarily a common comment, but that conversation was reminding me of, one of the last conversations my mom had with her mom before my grandma died, where, my grandma asked my mom if it's okay, if she's going to hell because she's questioned Jesus, and if Christianity is real. My mom said, if you still believe in Jesus, you're not going to hell, and that questioning your faith is good. That's what you were saying is good, because then you can grow from it.
Yeah.
So that was reminding me of that.
Wow. Yeah. That's a really intense final conversation.
I don't think it was the final conversation. My mom talks about that conversation a lot.
One of them though, still, that's intense. Yeah, that's why I always talk about I don't always, but sometimes we get to the conversation of doubting Thomas and how he really gets a really bad rap, because he's not doubting Thomas. For me, him saying, I will not believe unless I stick my fingers in the holes in his side and hands, that's a supreme act of faith. That Jesus is who he says he is, and I actually act upon that in doing it. Because it comes from a place of I want to believe. Like the centurion, right? In Mark 9. Who says, Jesus asked him, do you have faith that this can be done? His son be healed or daughter be healed. I can't remember which one. And the centurion replies with, or just the man replies with, I believe, Lord. Help my unbelief. That's a daily mantra for me. I believe, but help me in those times when I don't. That's the opposite of this posture of the maniac or the materialist. So yeah, the whole point of saying that, right, is that doubt, I think, has a seed. The seed of doubt is faith, 100%. Yeah, that's a larger conversation though. Okay, anything else? I would not like to debate him. I hate debating. I get the point behind that, but and I appreciate that you think I would be able to debate him. Yeah, a healthy debate. Let's have tea and a discussion. Because debating is flexing, your muscles. It's pretty meaningless. It doesn't help you get stronger, grow, change, anything like that. But that's the thing is,
in seeing you two flex your knowledge.
Yeah, that is kind of uncomfortable, but also funny. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it would. But the thing is that it probably wouldn't be anything fun or fruitful, at all, because if we go by our definition that we gave him in class, he's a maniac. So there's no way of convincing him that he's wrong. And this really gets to the heart of kind of what our Maniac project that I want you guys to do is about, is pick someone who you think is a modern-day maniac and then tell us why and things like that. But at the end of it, I want you to kind of walk through how you might convince them that, or how you might show them that they are a maniac and that their worldview is actually like really small. It makes the world really small. It's really like cut off, and it's not appropriate to like our experience. But yeah, like Dawkins would probably just rely on the fact that you can't prove it. But then again, yeah, and it would go a lot of different places. Yeah, it would be interesting, but oh man, nothing just. When I was like your guys' age, or not even when your guys' age, when I was like 21, 22, like when I first became a Christian, I had fun doing that, like talking to atheists and like showing them why they're wrong and things like that. But man, that is like the least loving thing that I could ever do. Because like the end goal of it, right, is like to try to help them realize, one, that their perspective is really small, and two, that they are wrong, but there's also a better way of living in the world, a better worldview that helps you like live better. I'm not like disagreeing with you or like saying that was silly. I appreciate that actually, that you think I'm smart enough to do that, because I don't think I am. But I think that there are better ways to approach it, unfortunately. That's why this class isn't like an apologetics class. Like I'm not teaching you guys how to defend your faith, which in most classes it would be. Because like evangelizing and like having a life of faith is about so much more than that. Yeah.
I was just thinking, through a discussion, so much of debates today or conversations are, the end goal for both sides is, it's not to learn something new, it's I want to win, I want to basically destroy their argument.
Yeah.
And so, in a good conversation, both sides can go in thinking, maybe we can go out this without some kind of clear picture, but maybe both of us can learn something new.
Yeah.
And I think if one side is stuck on, I need to prove you wrong, then the conversation is not going. Like, have you seen those Change My Mind videos?
No.
No?
I haven't.
They set up little, like, booths at different college campuses with a large slogan, They Changed My Mind.
Oh, I've seen like the meme, yeah. I haven't seen the videos for it.
There's actual videos out there, and so...
That's hysterical.
So often they debate controversial topics, and they invite anyone to sit down with them, but so often someone will begin yelling, and there will be, like, the guy debating will just sit there calm as can be, and usually there's people yelling around and yelling at him. And it's just so interesting to see who can have a healthy conversation, and who blows up because they begin to, they don't want to accept that, maybe I can look at this another way, or maybe I can learn something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm right, you're wrong, and if I can't prove you wrong, then I'm just going to yell.
My cat is creepy.
You're okay. You're okay. Yeah, I agree. It's like, have you guys ever seen the Ken Ham, Bill Nye debate?
Yes, it's like
I've
4
heard
hours.
about it.
It's like, it's like 3-4 hours long, and it's totally pointless.
They're just becoming more deeply entrenched.
Yeah, like it's not anything worth listening to. There is, so if you guys are interested in podcasts, I don't know if you are or not. Like, I love podcasts. It's like, yeah, it is. I'm a millennial. Technically, I'm a zennial.
Oh, no.
Generation Z. Generation part in that 4 years where it's like Gen Z, 1983. From 1979 to 1980, or from 1980 to 1985, it's like the transitional point between Gen Z and millennial.
You mean
Gen X, sorry, Gen X and millennial. Yeah, not Gen Z, sorry. Yeah, you guys are Gen Z. Yeah. No, Gen X, so zennial. But yeah, so podcasts are like a big thing. But there's one called Unbelievable where this guy, his name's Justin Brierley, he's English, so he's actually a lot of fun to listen to. It's an English accent. Brings on like a Christian and an atheist, and they discuss a topic. Like maybe it is, the role of creation, maybe it's evolution. Like there are a lot of really good ones on like science and faith in that. Which is really interesting. I think one of them he has Richard Dawkins on, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that if you find that interesting, man, I think that's a really great place for it because it's much more of a conversation in that sense too. It's very I don't want to say loving, but it's very like gracious in that sense. So yeah, just thought. Okay, let's do this. Everyone get out your computers and go to Canvas. All right. Hannah, you probably have out your computer, but go to Canvas anyways. Go to Faith and Reason, the Canvas. Go to the modules. Then it should be under Chesterton's Orthodoxy. And then if you go, I think 4 assignments down, it should be Maniac Presentations. Let me click on that. Excuse me.
Related, do you think, like, sociopathy and being a maniac is?
I think that they could be related, but I think also they're very different because, like, psychopathy and sociopathy are more genetic and chemical issues. Not always. I mean, it's like that gets to the heart of the nature versus nurture thing. But I think most of the science points to there is, I mean, both. But it's different because I would say it's different because it points to, like, one is a framework or like a worldview, and the other is a psychological condition, like an overall unhealthiness. Everything I keep saying, I keep coming back to there is no difference, like in my mind. Maniacism, as Chesterton puts it, is more of a way of engaging with the world, like a framework of engaging with the world, a worldview. Whereas psychopathy and sociopathy are more of because of my nurture, because of my background, I now not just see the world, but I act in it differently.
Do you think a sociopath could have that maniacal vision of the world, though?
I mean, I think yes, but maybe put it this way. I don't know if I agree with this, but that's just the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe like sociopaths are maniacs. All sociopaths are maniacs, but not all maniacs are sociopaths. Maybe that's a good way of putting it.
Like a square is a rectangle.
Oh my gosh, I hate when someone makes a sentence like that and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's like a square and a rectangle. Yeah, that's the framework. Good job.
What is it saying? A square is a rectangle.
Square is like every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle.
It was a square. That makes sense.
Because
Yeah.
it's completely right, and that's like the same framework, but like that's always what people go to.
Oh, that's funny. I've never gone to that, but that's also because it's math, probably. That makes sense. Okay, is everyone there? All right. So I really quickly just want to walk through this, and then I want to give you guys the next half hour to like get started. The Maniac presentation is going to be like what did I put on there? 5 to 7 minutes. 5 minutes, right? Just try not to go over, try not to go under. I'll give you like a minute, give and take, right? Under by a minute, over by a minute, because I think 5 minutes is like a perfect amount of time for this. What you're doing is taking our understanding of the maniac that we have talked about in class as like hyper-rationalism, a hyper-rationality, and you are thinking through and trying to come up with a modern-day maniac. And your job is to, there are 4 things on this. I mean, technically 3, but the third one is kind of just more for illustrative purposes. But there are 4 things on it. 1, I want you to give me your definition of the maniac. And honestly, I would put this in like just 4 slides in like a Google slideshow or whatever. First slide, what your definition of the maniac is. You can use Chesterton, but also I would love it if you would use your words. I think you'll have to use Chesterton in that because it's Chesterton's definition of the maniac. Number 2, 2 and 3 really go together. Who is your maniac? What are they from? And how are they a maniac? In order to best illustrate how they're a maniac, I would love it if you would show a clip or audio or video or read a passage or something. Something something that is some sort of like multimedia that illustrates the maniacism of the person that you choose. Okay? Okay, any questions about that? The hardest part is picking someone. The last thing is, what would you say to this person, or how could you argue for, again, thinking that argumentation is not really the best way of curing a maniac, but we're going with what we have here, a more balanced view of the world with them? Is it even possible? What are 2 to 3, just say like what are 2, main points that you would have to make in order to have any chance at getting through to them? This is obviously not a clear-cut point, but think about what Chesterton says to the maniac and how you can contextualize that for whomever you have chosen. So the point of this, right, is to say, how would you argue? How would you begin, not fully convince, but how would you begin to convince your individual that you are the maniac? Or that they're a maniac and they need to change? Yeah. No, it's okay. Just thinking that'd be funny. That'd be a funny story. Okay. Any questions? It's pretty simple. Here's what I would suggest. If you pick someone, let me know, so I can help you either say, oh, that's not really a good fit, or that is a great fit, or I don't see it right now, but maybe it could be. Okay? So here, let me give you an example that you can't use, but it's also just one out of about a billion. Sherlock Holmes is a great example of a maniac because he views the world through a very rational lens to where when he goes into a crime scene, he can just deductively observe the crime scene, or he can observe the crime scene and then deduce who was the killer, and why they killed that person based on evidence. And if there's something that comes in that is outside of the evidence, he rejects it completely because it's not something that is based on the evidence that he has observed. Okay? Also, for Sherlock Holmes, he has a really difficult time making friends, getting married, like having a relationship, stuff like that. And I think that those are kind of key characteristics of any sort of maniac because, like we talked about on the first day, right? Like love becomes just chemical reactions and an emotional, irrational response to someone. Friendship is just trying to distract yourself from like pain or something else that you're going through, whatever. So Sherlock Holmes is a great example. So you guys have the rest of time to try to think through who you might want to do and walk from there.
When's the presentation due?
Monday.
Okay.
We will do it on Monday. So we'll have all day tomorrow as well. So yeah, Monday we'll do it.